Hello, hello. Welcome everyone with a slight delay. Coaching journey with Jola and Jola Pypno-Crapanzano here with my gorgeous friend from Monaco, Elena Velema. Welcome, Elena. How are you?
Thank you, Jola. Well, I'm very well. I'm very well. It's here the fourth week of lockdown officially, and yeah, we're moving through this phase, and we're really trying to make the best out of it. You know, we
Yeah.
focus on the that are good. We focus on relationships that we cherish, and actually, it's going pretty well. Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting. This topic today that we'll be talking about, a couple topics actually, are so relevant to everything that's happening. Like we're really living in something that never happened before. We all learning every single day. We have to be so flexible and adjustable to the situation, and that will go beautifully with what we want to talk about. Like for example, you see my background today. I had to invade my original office in this house that got taken over by husband and children, and I had to literally, with Elena watching me, move on papers, adjust lights. It's not perfect, but who cares? We manage after so many attempts, and here we are, guys.
Yeah.
Tell you who you're meeting today. So Elena is this awesomeness, certified life coach who really is, specializing in NLP, but truly she got talents going so beyond that. Like she literally is there and here for us to help get us unstuck from all the negative emotions and feelings that we may have. How relevant, right? Right now, so many people are dealing with this. So I'm so happy that we have that opportunity right now to, talk about it. I want to remember and welcome everybody who's watching us on Facebook. And I am glad that you guys able to join us because it was a challenge. We didn't even know if we'll be able to do it. So I want to say thank you for all of you who are watching me right now. I will get to everyone in a little bit. If you have questions, again, feel free to drop them in the chat below. So Elena, always first question, how are you doing? How are things right now in Monaco?
Well, we're doing pretty well, actually. A little side step, I'm not physically in Monaco at the moment. I'm in the countryside. So we've escaped to the country, and we see nature unfolding. We see leaves, leaves coming through and flowers blossoming. And we really, with our little family, we have chosen this position to enjoy the things that are there, and we support each other in on every little thing, or even on the tiniest things, to shift the focus. If somebody goes off route, it's become like family culture or so.
Yes.
That we spend a moment every day during dinner, for instance, mentioning 3 things that we appreciated of today. What were the things that were nice, or that were, and they can be as tiny as seeing, a special little, a special little bee, on the flowers, or another tree blossoming, or whatever it is.
Yes, 100%.
And that really helps, and that really helps to to keep a certain constant level of feeling good, because whatever arises, you always have a choice of how to react to it.
Yes.
And and very often, sometimes you can get into a family dynamic, or say family culture, or whatever you want to call it, where one starts complaining and the other one drags down, and all kind of spirals down, and kids feel that as well, so that creates a kind of tension. And so what we've chosen is to switch from that and saying, listen, we can't change the situation, but we can change the way we relate to it. The way we, what we focus on, and the meaning that we give to things that happen, and that helps enormously.
Yes, my sentiment exactly. So I am actually every day also trying to, connect with Mother Nature. We are also sort of in suburbs. There's a lot of homes around here, but we are not in a city. So I'm able still legally go for walks to parks and stuff. Some parks are closed, but we still go out there. And every day I'm like connected and get my focus totally into beautiful flowers that are opening up and this and that and the streams and birds and makes me so happy. And the couple hours that I spend outside, it's like a clearing all that debris that's accumulated, even though I completely disconnected from media, like meaning news and stuff. Still sometimes something is able to get into your brain, right? And just like yesterday, one image popped on a screen for 10 seconds and that image got like impression on my brain. I still see it, with some hospital scene and all. Anyway, so that's why we cannot do that. We gotta be really peaceful. And so Elena, thank you for sharing. I'm glad that you are safe and healthy and you're, enjoying this time. You said to me before our conversation that you actually feel more connected to the universe, to the forces of nature more than ever, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because I feel that, we don't need, in essence, the outside to connect to, to something that's bigger than us. We always are free and we always can and we always have control over connecting to that light that we have within, and with that radiate out. We don't need to be in a certain environment or in a certain condition, or having drank something or smoked something to do that. That's always available in essence, and if you train yourself, I think it starts to come naturally. So
Yeah, wonderful. So another thing they didn't mention yet, Elena is also an author and also an international best-selling author of our amazing book One. And in that book, which I would like to swiftly go into, Elena wrote a chapter titled Courage to Overcome Emotional Barriers. And who doesn't have them? And I absolutely loved how you, in your whole chapter and actually in the narrative, you used comparisons and you used various ways for people to understand the essence, like you say it, of what you're teaching. So to start this whole conversation, we could literally ask a person, what kind of tree would you identify yourself with? And we can tell you if you survive or won't. Because as you beautifully describe, for example, palm trees, right? They are being swayed back and forth during a very strong winds, during the hurricane times. And yes, we see them, they almost bend by the bottom of the earth, by the bottom of, and they end up coming back because they're flexible, they're resilient, they just have this ability. And here you may have this very strong looking, sturdy, resilient tree, and guess what? That tree can be snapped, can be pulled out with the roots. We had a tree like that next to my house. Literally the whole tree, I don't even know how many, it was like, 10 meters, 15, 20, I don't even know, large tree collapsed down because obviously there was no preparation. And that's how we are, right? Please tell us about this and the comparison to our thoughts, how we can get through the negativity.
Yeah, well, in essence, what we very often do, what is a very natural reaction to situations that bring pain in us or bring up fear, is we close off. We tend to protect ourselves and we put up this protective shield because we don't want any more pain to get in. But what happens is that nothing gets in, but nothing gets out either. You kind of lock yourself in with that feeling that you don't want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to be good, in order to feel balance within yourself, it's important to recognize that that is a natural reaction to fear or to pain, and that it is essential to be able to create enough space for that emotion to pass through you. So not to it's okay to close off initially,
yes,
but if you keep that shield around you for too long, you tend to become rigid and stiff.
Yes.
And the more difficult emotions you encounter, and the more you don't dare to face them, the more you don't dare to try and release them, because in essence nobody taught us to do that. You know, we're not trained in how to release our emotional blocks, and in life things happen that we have no control over, and now more than ever before we're facing a situation where we feel we have so little control over what we can do, over what is happening, over what's happening to the people we love. So and we tend to grab on, and we tend to become very stiff and say, you know, I don't want this. Exactly. I didn't ask for this, you know, I don't like it, this, I feel uncomfortable, and we become very stiff. And in essence, life is always flowing, it's always changing, and it's in constant motion. It's much more like those wonderful mountain streams, you know, and rivers that you also, I guess, put pictures of in your posts.
Yes.
It's always flowing, you know, and it is as if we're trying to be rigid and we're trying to find some solid ground in the middle of a stream, you know. So we tend to grab onto the shore and not wanting to let go of things that we're used to, of the things that make us feel comfortable, or we believe that make us feel comfortable and give us some relief in our condition. But in essence, it is essential to fully be aware of the fact that life is flowing.
Yes.
It is.
I so love this concept of surrendering, letting go, and trusting that we're going to be okay. And honestly, this is like this a motto for me for good. You know, I want to say now, baby, 6 months or so that I really, really, really immerse myself into all this different way of looking at things. And mind you, this is in addition to my whole deep work, personal development work I've done last 5 years. But this is like a brand new approach, like the idea of flow, not just with work and being involved with what you love, but letting go and surrendering, right? Yeah. It is so big, so big. And it helps so much, because what does it help us if we're going to worry, lose mind by thinking what's going to happen and think the worst case scenario? Nothing. Yeah. We're only going to get sicker inside, if not from the virus, from other things. Perhaps, you know, we get anxiety or depression. Who the hell needs that, you know? There will be a lot of professionals after this crisis. They're going to thrive in their businesses because people are going to be like, oh, I need help, you know? So another beautiful, beautiful comparison to something that comes from nature. Idea of coming from your chapter, idea of when we have that pain, that bad negative thing that's happening in our head, we can hold on to it and close off, like you say, and not letting in or out anything, or we can temporarily feel some sort of pain or a very uncomfortable feeling, get through it, and feel free and like, I'm good now. And you gave this example of a dog that used to be free and happy, and then they stuffed that dog, poor baby, in a backyard, and they put electric fence around it. And the poor baby dog doesn't see it, obviously, so it's happily going through, and now all of a sudden, boom, something hits him, right? Electric shock. Doesn't see it, but it's uncomfortable. Then he backs up, and then he tries again, and it happens again. So screw it, I'm not going through it. But then if that dog loved his life before so much that he wanted to get through it, now he's going through that initial very uncomfortable shock, gets out, and he's free. So please tell us how this story relates to our situation.
Well, in essence, we are very much, well, also as human beings, it's very natural to be willing to avoid anything that causes discomfort. Or makes us feel, you know, uncomfortable, or something that causes pain, and look for things that are pleasurable, you know. So that is absolutely normal. However, we often take it to the extent of choosing very, very precisely what makes us feel good and what doesn't, and kind of defending that little boundary, that we can call it the comfort zone, Huh? And if something makes us feel uncomfortable, we say, okay, you know, I'm not feeling well. I need to have my drink, you know. So you drink something, and they say, well, you know, now I'm feeling okay. Or
numbness, right? Little numbness, temporary numbness.
right, yeah. Why? Because we are afraid to feel that little discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
That is in our way to be free. And you can see it this way as well, you know. It's as if you are in a, let's say, in a house, and you encounter something that makes you feel very uncomfortable through, you know, something, you know, a bee flies in the window.
Yes.
And you say, oh gee, I don't like this bee, and you start closing off the window, you know. So you start blocking off the light. You say, well, I'm feeling good here now, you know, I'm fine, I'm protected, but you've locked yourself in. You
Yes.
know. And that's what we continue to do over and over again, because when we feel something that is uncomfortable, we tend to run away to the place that we know. It might not be the best, because, you know, by now you're in a very stuffy house with a lot of bees flying around, you know, and who knows what else, you know, what kind of fears you have. But in essence, it is sometimes essential to realize that in order to feel free on the inside, in order to be able to breathe, in order to be able to, you know, to relate in a fluid manner also with people who are at this moment in the house with you, it's essential to feel the discomfort for a little while, to be able to, you know, to go through that fence or to start opening the window, because you will start letting the light in. You will start ventilating your, say, your inner self. And by letting the light and the air in, you're also letting the possibility, and you're creating the space for all of the things that were trapped to finally pass through you. Because otherwise, you know, you create those blockage after blockage after blockage, and then, you know, and at a certain moment you find yourself, you know, freaking out because you say,
and that
things
goes
are
for
not...
everything. There's so many situations in life that, let's say, people are unhappy in relationships and they keep going. They could be violent, they could be abusive relationships, and people are afraid to break through because it's going to be uncomfortable. They're going to have to go to the process of, let's say, divorces, the process of very uncomfortable situations. They don't realize that on the other side, after this initial discomfort, they can find again happiness and freedom. And that goes for people who are unhappy at the places they work. They know that initially, maybe when they say bye-bye, it's going to be a moment of distress, but then they can find fulfillment in their life and find something that they really truly were called to do. And you know, those are the moments that right now I think it's a perfect time to really realign, find that moment, find that center, spend a minute or two, or maybe 2 hours, 3, and just really think what matters, like what the hell matters in this life. And I'm so happy that we are touching up on this, because today, my friends, Elena will teach us something what she teaches actually, and she touched up on this in a book as well. It's an ancient Buddhist technique. How can we actually get through any sort of uncomfortable, painful situation in life? Elena, please tell us about this.
Yeah. Well, this technique is very special. It's very particular, and I think it is extremely relevant right this moment when so many people are experiencing fear and uncertainty and hopelessness, you know, this technique really helps you to start working with whatever it is that you have not dared to touch upon, you have not dared to face before this very special period that we're going through right now. And then maybe, you know, it is now coming up in a way, you know, you cannot avoid it anymore, you know. So
it's almost like in this time, everything that was a small issue, it gets magnified in this situation.
Right.
Everything that was great in our life, it will blossom right now. Everything that was starting showing signs of any sort of intact, it will collapse. That's why we were saying that it's going to be a lot of very different, this world will never be the same. It will be a very different world because people will realize things that they never ever knew before.
Right. Yeah. And this technique. So one of the basic notions is this feeling of openness that we've talked about before. So it is this notion that it is absolutely natural and instinctual for you to close off, both physically. You know, if something painful comes along, say, oh, you know.
You kind of do this, you slouch, yeah,
Instinctively,
yeah.
exactly, you instinctively protect yourself. You hear a very loud noise, you know, you protect your body, and the same happens on the emotional level as well. So if somebody says something to us that we don't like, or that makes us feel angry or uncomfortable, you know, also emotionally we tend to close off. You know, that's, we don't see that so much, although very often it also reflects on the body as well. You know, we can feel a tightness in the chest, or our shoulders start to tense up, or our jaws or our fists, you know, get clenched. So we tend to close off. But one of the basic notions of Tonglen, this Tibetan technique, is that for any feeling, for any negative emotion to pass through your system, it needs to have space, it needs to have air, it needs to have the possibility to pass through you, because there are so many things
go someplace, right? Like just
on a daily basis that actually pass through your system. You know, if you're walking on in nature, and you're walking past trees and blossoming and the river stream, etc. And then suddenly, and all of those things, the river stream and the trees and the grass, all of those things just pass through you. You know, you go with your thoughts, and it's all fluid. And a lot of those external triggers actually don't do anything to you. They just pass through you. So most of the things do pass through. However, if you suddenly see a dog that looked like a dog that you used to have when you were a child, you know, and then you know, you had to leave it with your grandparents, whatever it is, you know, it brings up that block that's there for a while. And you need to be able to work with it, you know, to create space for it so that it can pass through your system, just like all of those other trees, just like all of that other information pass through you. You need to just, you know, visualize that so many things are flowing through your system, and there are few things that get trapped. Now, to release them, you need to create enough space.
Yes, so that's the openness. That's the first element of that technique. And you have this really cool idea, how can you do it? So you have to visualize those open spaces, either look high up in the sky and you feel a beautiful, you know, open airy space, or consider like if you hiked and you got to a top of the mountain and you see all these valleys somewhere below you, or if you're on the beach and you see this vast ocean in front of you, whatever the openness means for you, just visualize it, and it will give you that space. Okay, let's go. All these necessary things that we don't want to go out there. You have a lot of space. Leave the hell this temple alone.
Yeah, or you can just look out of your window, you know, you look up in the sky and just connect to this vastness of the sky, you know, because a lot of us maybe can't see the ocean at this moment, you know, the access to the sea here is simply blocked, you know, so, yeah. But just, you know, just looking out or bringing to your mind, as you said, an image of vastness. And another thing that helped me personally a lot with this technique was the fact that you know, we have our shared humanity. In essence, whatever we are feeling right now, so the feelings that this situation is bringing up in us, be it fear, or be it despair, or uncertainty, you can be sure that millions of people around the globe feel exactly the same thing. Their situation,
yes.
Their situation might be different. You know, they might be in a different country, they might have different households, they might look different. However, that feeling that permeates their being is the same. Yeah, you are not alone. You know, just like you, they're feeling fearful. Just like you, they are feeling uncertain. And this notion awakens compassion towards other beings, and we can feel that we share the same humanity. We are much more alike than we are different.
Yes.
And with that, that also helps to create that space that we talked about before. So it's not anymore you locked in with yourself and with your fear and with your pain and feeling very miserable and saying, you know, the way I'm feeling, nobody else is feeling right now. You know, the pain that I have, nobody can understand. Nobody feels that.
Yes.
But
This
you
is
can be
actually
pretty sure.
very, very cool that you tapped on it, because often in you know, high performance coaching or any type of coaching, we tell this to the clients who come to us and they're like, you don't understand. You don't understand. Well, guess what? We do understand because we heard this several times in our practices, many times perhaps even. And by comparison, just like you say, there is probably not one topic that someone can come up that someone else didn't go through. And at this particular moment, like you say, the whole globe is pretty much going through the same exactly situation. So that shared humanity is the one element that helps us as well. And then you have this idea of how to actually release all that issue with problems, with pain, through breathing. And that's interesting how everything truly always comes to breathing, to finding a center and breathing, from, you know, meditations through yoga, through everything. Because when we're trying to relax our bodies, get the body really flexible, now we're applying this to our mind, right? We're trying to get that mind being just as flexible. So tell us about this breathing. Maybe we could get through this exercise together. I know it's so beautiful like this. I saw you once doing it, and I would love you to see your energy coming to me. I need it. Give it to me, please. And give it to all of us listening. Let's see if we have any questions. I see, again, I kind of almost forgot about our beautiful people watching us. So let's see what we got here. But I tell you, this is an experience. I would love everyone who is there with us live or will be watching us on a replay to experience this and go through this exercise, simply because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Well, so what you can do, what you can do is you sit back comfortably. And or bring to your mind, or if you have a chance to look out of the window, just look out at the sky and just for a moment connect with the feeling of vastness, connect with the feeling of openness and of space. And as you breathe in this spaciousness that you can see out in the sky. And just for a moment, feel that you're creating space within, enough space that can welcome anything, that can let anything flow through you. Next, you can notice, say, connect to the feeling that you have been feeling recently, or you're feeling right now. It may be restlessness or anxiety or being pressured, whatever it is, and notice where it is that you feel it in your body. It might be your chest, it might be your shoulders, it might,
neck, right?
Yeah, shoulders, neck, you know. So connect to that part of your body that feels this tension, and just start breathing in. You know, just saying, okay, so let's say the emotion that you're feeling right now, what could that be for you, Jola, for instance?
Well, for me, it is this obviously that feeling of unknown, that feeling of not even knowing when this is going to end, right? Even though I truly enjoy so many things about this, but because I am sort of person that likes to feel in control, I'm very out of my comfort zone right now, very much so. That's why I said to you, I am so much working on that ability to go surrender and flow, because I was always a control freak. I wanted to have everything. So right now, it's not me being in my element. I'm actually what you see right now. It's after really hard work to be this composed and this peaceful and this kind of like I want to be like you when I grow up, you know what I mean? Because you exuded this peace and comfort. So that's exactly what I'm looking at. But yeah, that feeling of uncertainty, of not knowing when this is going to end and how it's going to turn out, that's what's worrying me, obviously.
Yeah. So if you connect to that feeling of uncertainty and you you say, well, it's okay that I feel uncertain. It is absolutely normal and natural that I feel uncertain, and I don't have to run away from it. This is what is going through my system now, you know. So, and if you feel it in your shoulders, for instance, you just start breathing in this, well, uncertainty or whatever you're feeling, and feeling, you know, connecting to this tension, and breathing out relief from this uncertainty, and you visualize that relief. So you breathe in, and it is like soft light radiating through the pores of your body, radiating out. So you breathe in whatever it is, the uncertainty and the tension, and you breathe out the wish to have relief. Again, you breathe in, you feel the uncertainty, and you breathe out relief. And on the next breath, you connect again to this feeling of uncertainty. And then as you breathe out, connect to this notion that millions of people right this moment are feeling exactly the same uncertainty you are feeling inside of you right now, and send relief out. So radiate relief out for yourself and for all of those people who feel uncertainty. Let's try that again. So you breathe in and breathe out relief for yourself and for all of those people who feel exactly the same.
This is really, really powerful. And I know you advised to do this for about 3 minutes or so, right?
Yeah.
To do this exercise. I want to bring 2 topics from my high performance coaching, how very similar things we advise is that we have this technique, it's called release meditation. It's on the same order. You go through your day and you can stop for a couple minutes anytime during the day. Just close your eyes and just every few minutes with breathing say release, and feel the release coming from all the tension in your body. So that's number 1. And number 2 is that connection, like you say, to other people. Because the minute we start focusing on other people, the minute we really start helping, serving others, the focus of us goes away and we don't worry about ourselves anymore. Now we are open, we connected with everybody else. So I thought it is very interesting that we have the same, you know, principles of teaching. It's just from a slightly different angle. So this is a beautiful, it's called Tonglen, yes, this technique.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, I said Buddhist is Tibetan technique. Very, very, very good. Elena, so if you could like in one sentence tell people right now, what would be your, besides this technique obviously, what would be your advice for people, how to best cope with the situation?
Well, first of all, really recognize being very deeply human. Really be kind to yourself. Because we are at this moment, you know, we're all working from home. We have kids at home, and it's not easy to go through the situation. We want to be productive. We want to feel good. We want our kids to do well at school, and I would say, you know, just accept the situation and accept that it is, you know, everybody is finding their own ways. And start bringing up and noticing things that make you feel good and things that make you feel off balance. Yeah, just start bringing up that awareness in yourself. And that is really the first key to finding your inner balance. Just start noticing, you know, if you watch, you know, if you get in touch with certain information channels that make you feel off or make you feel out of energy, just start noticing how that makes you feel, you know. And if you start grabbing on to, you know, for example, to things that you really want to have your way, you know, and this is how I'm used to it, this is how I want to have it, just start noticing how much vital energy you are putting into trying to keep things exactly as they were. Just notice how much energy it takes to...
Bingo. Amen. Yes. That is so important. That's again against going against this flow, right? You're trying to swim against the stream, like the stream is trying to take you this. I'm like, no, I want it this way, and you're fighting and wasting the precious energy. Great point, Elena. Love it. Yes.
Yeah, and once you notice it, and you can spend a few days just catching yourself and just being aware of what is happening. And I can tell you, after the second day, you will be shocked to see how much energy you're putting into grabbing on and to grasping to things. And you can find ways to let go, so to get the grip off. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to stay true to yourself, to your let's say to what is important for you. You can still, even if somebody says something you don't like, or somebody does something that you didn't expect or the way that you wanted to, if you're able to first become aware how much you're grabbing on, and then let go of that necessity of having things your way and just reacting and snapping at someone or acting out.
Yeah.
If you're able to let go of that attachment, you can be much more at peace with yourself, and you can bring your message across in any way, but from a completely different place. And I guarantee it will be much more powerful.
Yeah.
Than
Yes. And I also, in last couple of days, I was running this questionnaire through various groups on social media, trying to ask people to find just one thing that they found was amazing that happened during this quarantine time. And I honestly, together, with, I don't know if you're participating in that project of maybe writing about the stay-at-home project, but if I like think about it, this will be one of the elements for me. There is so much amazingness that happens in people's life because of this time. So if we focus on the good things, acknowledge the bad, but if we focus on good things, and also take in perspective that no matter how bad our situation may be, think of people who are right now at the front in the hospitals, essential workers, dealing firsthand with the pandemic. Those people don't have worries like we have. Oh, I'm uncomfortable in my situation. They are truly, so by comparison, again, the perspective gives you also a little bit of a ease, right? You can easier deal with everything that's happening. I feel like it's very important. Always take the perspective. No matter where you are, there's always somebody out there. And again, we're going into this humanity. There's a vast, array of people who are simply, they would kill for everything that we have right now,
Yeah, and there is this old story of an old Cherokee who is sitting with his grandson at the porch, the wooden porch at sunset, and looking over a valley. And the grandson tells to the grandfather tells to the son, "I have a terrible fight going on inside me, a horrible fight. 2 wolves are fighting with each other, and one is black, the other one is white." And he said, "But what are those wolves, Grandpa?" "Well, the black wolf is filled with fear, envy, greed, pride, ego, and arrogance. And the white wolf is filled with love and peace, joy, and calm, and compassion. So which one wins, Grandpa?" And then Grandpa looks at the little boy and says, "The one you feed the most." So
I've heard that story. It is so beautiful. Oh, we could finish right now, and that would be like the best for the whole entire conversation, the best ending. But it is in our power where we focus our thoughts on. Again, the power of thoughts comes every single day in these interviews, and yet again, using the techniques that people way smarter than us, discovered, and they work so beautifully. Just, be resilient, be flexible, be open, and we're gonna make it through. It's gonna be just fine. So, Elena, I didn't touch up on one more area of your genius, which is actually you are a parenting expert as well. And I want to bring this topic as well because you said already earlier that this is a time for many, many, many parents around the globe who never ever before were facing situation of homeschooling, right? And so now they have children at home 24/7 and all of them are frustrated and they think they have to do this unbelievable job as world-class teachers. They don't realize that this is a temporary situation. They do the best they can just to provide that help. But what would you again suggest as a parenting expert to all the parents out there right now dealing with this frustration, having, things that they've never done before, and the children that are acting up maybe more than normally? What would you say to them?
Well, the first thing that I would really say to the parents is take very good care of yourself, because more than ever before, you are your child's environment. And with spending so much time indoors with them, your children are so receptive, not so much to the words that you speak out, but on how you say them, on the message that comes along, and on the energy that you bring out when you say things. So really, when you are on a plane and there are those safety announcements, and one of them is put your own max oxygen mask.
Yes, and then you put it on the loved one, right?
Mm-hmm. You attend to your child, and it is the same here. In essence, it is very important to be able to find a way that works for you to, on a daily basis, to constantly bring yourself to wherever you can, to a state of receptiveness and kindness. And it is not a marathon of who does it better and whose child learns the most math, or, your children are learning essential skills such as resilience and open-mindedness and flexibility and being able to cope with challenging situations. And those things are as precious as math. They are as precious as language.
Yes, may I just say this? It brought this thought right now to my head. How many times I grew up back in Poland. I call it black and white Poland at that time, where it was difficult. It was a post-communist times. We had stores with nothing but white vinegar on the shops a lot of times, standing as children in long lines to buy essential items, and I never in my entire current days would think that something similar will happen again. But guess what? Because I went through this very difficult time, I became more resilient and I became more adapted to these changes, and noticing how difficult it is for generation of today's kids. They were like, the first few days, they were like, what do you mean? What do you mean I can go? What do you mean? Like, that's bullshit. This is not. And everybody was snapping and showing attitudes and everything. And that goes around. And guess what? 3 weeks later, they adjusting, because that's the new reality. And that's where they grow up. They will be teaching their children, look, not always everything goes the way you want. Sometimes you gotta deal with bullshit. And that bullshit is really blown out of proportion right now to anything that anybody could ever imagine even 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. And guess what? We're gonna get through it, but you're gonna get stronger. You're gonna learn new things. And as parents, we have now opportunity to try to show with our behavior that we can be the calm, we can be that peaceful oasis where they always can come. And believe me, it is hard sometimes when they show you that attitude, you want to smack them around. And that's very hard because, I was telling yesterday a client of mine, I said, you know what? Because she was telling me how her child is very difficult right now. It's almost impossible. I said, well, this is that child's ways of coping with it. Just give them a space. Let them breathe through these problems, because it's something they cannot even. This never happened to you. This never happened to them, and they're way younger. They don't have experiences, right? So
what I find really really useful as well are those resources that there are online that teach children mindfulness and coping techniques and yoga. And what I would encourage the parents to do is full-heartedly go and do those exercises with them.
Yeah.
It can benefit you a huge lot because you've maybe never have taken the time to do that yourself, or never believed it could help you. But believe me, in this situation, you will be helping your child learn skills such as resilience and kindness and coping. And you will be learning them yourself as well, or revising them wherever you are. So it becomes a win-win. You teach your child to be more calm and to recenter yourself, and to learn breathing exercises and to learn mindfulness exercises, and you're learning them or you're revising them for yourself as well. So
Yes.
that would be another
And it's living by example, almost like if you are right now, if you chose to, drown in alcohol and then sitting in front of the TV for 24/7 watching Netflix or whatever, and that's the example you're giving out. Okay, you're coping with it. Sure, you're gonna have few seasons behind your belt of some shows. You maybe watched 500 movies. I don't know, but is this going to, in a long run, positively affect you? Probably not. And the kid sees that. On the other hand, if you actually show that, there is still time right now, more time than ever, to take care of your body. Go out if you possibly can. If you cannot, just take care of your body physically at home, do workouts, whatever you can do. Like you say, yoga, some breathing, something. Try to, spend that time on preparing some nice meal. So just try to have communications if they're working out. Then just be nice to everyone. I think that if you do that, that's a way, way, way better example of dealing with all of this. So yeah, we can do so much right now with all of this. Elena, I did not mention earlier, but I want to bring it out there that you run this a coaching and training company called Streamline in Monaco, and basically when everything goes back to normal, you'll be probably, even though you're probably working full time as it is right now, as so everybody in the industry, people are busier than ever right now doing all kinds of work. But if people would like to find you on social media, what's the best way to find you? Your website and your social media handles.
Yeah, so my social media page for my business is Streamline Life Coaching. You can find it easily over there, or through my personal profile. There is a link on to the website, and I'll be very soon launching a life coaching series. That is a special program to help people get through this time of uncertainty and lockdown. To deal with fear and worry and anxiety, and I'll be also guiding them through special breathing exercises. And
I feel like we, as a community of global community of coaches and different sort of trainers and thought leaders, we are right now giving away our time in like me doing the series of interviews with amazing people from all over the world. I'm sharing through you guys all these different ways of coping with this difficult situation, sharing your genius, how that people can apply in their lives. And that's hours and hours and hours. And I notice my high performance coaches, fellow coaches, they do the same. They do tons of different webinars and free trainings. And like you said, there's so many resources right now online that people can get for free. People can do literally degree online right now for free if they just want to. So just go out there and get help. It's available. Like, don't get stuck. And listen, again, we're saying this still in this like optimistic, happy, oh, we good, we got this. Well, listen, we don't know. Again, like I said, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know where we're going with it. So this is the time to prime ourselves and get ready. And you have Elena out there who is ready to help at any given time as well. And Elena, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time, for patience, trying to be here today with connect with all this Mother Nature problems of internet. But we made it. And thank you so very much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Guys, I want to say thank you before I let Elena go. I'm going to check the Facebook because, like I said, that's one thing that, again, Jola somehow missed. Jola is not getting better at this stuff. Jola has to get better. Jola will get better. So we had Yes, Renee is saying to us that we're sending positive vibes and right back at you. So guys, if you have a bunch of people watching, I just do not have the names. Thank you very much for tuning in, and lots of love to everyone. Thank you, Elena, once again. Ciao.